Good morning. I had a thought that I wanted to share this morning. So I've come to the conclusion that the reason that our salary is so low as education is because education has turned into a babysitting service. Broward County Public Schools spends about $893 million on teacher salaries, and they spend the other 50%, about $790 whatever million on instructional purchases. And the purpose of those instructional purposes, a lot of them are digital. It's get your kids into the classroom, put them on a computer, and get them learning through a computer. There was a time when I could go into a classroom and teach. If the class started at 12 o'clock and it ended at 1 o'clock, I could teach from 12 to 12:45. Today, that's not allowed. If I teach and if I stand in front of a classroom for 45 minutes and I teach my students, I will get points deducted. But it really doesn't matter because administration is only required to go into your classroom maybe 3 or 4 times the entire year for their evaluations. So that means that the rest of the 176 days of school, a teacher is on their own. It's a babysitting service. I'm going to give you a real life example of one of my classes. I have a class with about 12 or 13 students. Why? Because even though that class is small, the behaviors of about 5 or 6 of them is like having a class of 30. In that class with 12 students, I have at least 4 or 5 students that very well behaved. They come in ready to learn, respectful. However, we have those other 6 or 7 students that come into the classroom and they have no respect for authority. They have no respect for the learning environment. They have no respect for coming to school and wanting to learn. I call them my baby kids. These are kids that, sadly, when they were little, they were put in front of a computer. They were put in front of a TV. They were given an iPad, a tablet, and they were raised by technology. And that is the consequence that our generation has to deal with. We, the millennials, the end of Gen X and the millennials, we were a part of the technology revolution. And many of us, we gave our kids the iPads and the TV, and we realized that, guess what? You don't have to give so much attention to your children. If you give them an iPad or put them in front of a TV, that'll keep them entertained and you can go on doing your own thing. And so now what happens is when these kids are 11, 12, 13 years old, they have no respect for authority because they were raised on the internet. They were raised on technological devices. And they pretty much raised themselves. And it's evident. So I look at my classroom and I look at the 5 or 6 students that come to class ready to learn. Do you think that they're getting a quality education? No, they're not. Why? Because I have to spend 50-60% of my time redirecting. I have to spend my time reminding the student, have a seat, do not talk. Why are you talking? It's time to do your assignment. Why? And it's exhausting. And I know the district is smart enough to understand where we are in our society, where the students of today are. They see the behaviors. We are supposed to be the magical magicians. We are supposed to be the ones that can take these children that have been raised by technology, not by actual human beings. They have not been taught respect for authority, respect for the classroom, respect for the learning environment, and we're supposed to move them, and we're supposed to work miracles. And the truth is that these kids are so smart, and they're so technologically advanced, and they're so with it, that who they are at home is completely different to who they are in school. It's night and day. They know how to walk the walk. They know how to talk the talk, especially with their parents. They don't want to get their cell phone away. They don't want to get their iPads taken away. They want to be good so that they can do what they want to do. And so then when they come into school, we get to see who they really are. We get to see, and they're not bad kids. They're good kids. They're kids. They have a good heart, but they have severe behavior issues. They have no self-control, and I try to teach that to my students because I see it. I say, I need you to have self-control. Give me 5 minutes of self-control. Give me 5 minutes of quiet so that I can give instruction, and it's close to impossible. And so, right now, many of your children, and I'm speaking to parents, are not getting a quality education. You drop them off in the morning, and I can speak at the middle school and high school level because I'm not in elementary. I think that elementary is where they put all their money into. If you look, there's about 135 elementary schools in Broward County. But then what happens is middle school and high school, there's only 30-something middle schools and 30-something high schools. So I'm kind of like, how do you fit 137 elementary schools with all of those kids, and then they streamline them into just 30 little middle schools and 30 little high schools? So now what happens is that that's where they're putting their focus, on the elementary, because by the time the kids get to middle school and high school, that's where the funds end. That's where, those kids are given to us, and by that point, they have severe behavior issues. They have no respect for authority, and we are just trying to get through our day. And by the time we leave, we're exhausted. We are completely exhausted. And that is the truth. My heart breaks for those 4, 5, 6 students that I know they come ready to learn. They're ready to learn about the human body systems. They're ready to, explore something new. But then you have the other 50% of the class, 60%, sometimes it's 70%. Sometimes it's 70% of the class with severe behavior issues. They have no respect for the authority. They have no respect for a classroom. They have no respect for adults. Why? Because they were raised on an iPad. They were raised on a cell phone. They had minimal adult interactions. And so what happens is the parents are happy to drop off their kids. Why? Because that's about 7 or 8 hours that they do not have to worry about their kids or deal with their children. And they drop them off to us, their babysitters. And so what's happening is that the district is paying us as if we are the babysitters. And they're spending 50% of instructional budget on instructional materials, digital materials, because what they want is for us to get your kids into the school, get them on a laptop, and have them teach themselves. I had a conversation with a group of my students, and they were so frustrated. A bunch of 12-year-olds. They were like, we want to be taught. We want to be taught. We don't want to go into a classroom and get on a computer. We don't want to have to read it ourselves. We want you to teach us because we're ready to learn. And I'm like, what is going on with our society? You know, sometimes all we need is the truth. We need people to speak the truth because the truth has the ability to set us free. Parents know what is happening in the classroom. I know you want your kids to be smart. I know you want your kids to be learning, but that is not what's happening in the classrooms. It's not, because education has become a babysitting service. Although your child comes ready to learn, we have to spend so much time correcting and redirecting behavior that your child is sitting there for 10 minutes as us, the teachers, try to redirect 5, 6, 7, 8 kids of students that do not respect the classroom environment. They don't respect adults, and they do not respect learning at all.